We just came through elections, and so many people blame the government for where they are at. And that's just not true. That's a lie. That's a lie to yourself. And if it is true, how sad is that? That someone in a political office has total control over your freedom, your future, like your ability to be able to make decisions. That's just not true in a democracy. It doesn't matter who is in office. That's just not true. You can create your own economy. I've proven that. Many people have proven that over the last 20 years. We've had Republicans, we've had Democrats, we've had it all over these last few decades. And with each new government that comes in every 4 years, my family has increased in net value in net worth. Hey, 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 what's up, Freedom Factory podcasters? Welcome back for another week. Glad you guys are here. And today is going to be just a little different because I'm recording at a unusual time. It's Saturday morning. It's I think before 8 a.m., which is not my normal time to be doing this. Normally, I record these midweek or so. But I've had a very busy week, and that is going to kind of play into our topic for today. So, welcome. If this is your first time to the podcast, the purpose of this, as you heard in the intro, is to help you guys build a business in network marketing that will provide you the freedoms that you probably were looking for when you first signed up. It's to give you the tips that I learned along the way, the insight that I learned along the way. And what I'm going to share with you today is one of these like aha moments that has made a massive, massive impact. So today's going to be short. However, if you apply what I'm going to tell you, it will have a massive impact on your business. So, yes, we are all busy. I think everybody you talk to will tell you they're busy. You ask someone how their week has been going, and they'll just say, "Oh man, I've been so busy. It's been a busy week." So we hear that a lot, and sometimes we hear that when we are expected to get things done, whether someone's expecting us to get it done, and you say, "Yeah, I just been too busy. I haven't got to it yet." Or maybe you're on the other side of that where someone is expecting or you're expecting someone to do something and they keep just telling you, "Yeah, I haven't got to that yet. I haven't got to that. I don't have time. I just haven't had time. I haven't had time." And I'm going to tell you guys that as long as you are using that type language, as long as you're telling yourself that you're too busy and you haven't had time, you are giving your control away. So I've talked to you guys on this podcast before about blaming other people for your circumstances. We just came through elections, and so many people blame the government for where they are at. And that's just not true. That's a lie. That's a lie to yourself. And if it is true, how sad is that? That someone in a political office has total control over your freedom, your future, like your ability to be able to make decisions. That's just not true in a democracy. It doesn't matter who is in office. That's just not true. You can create your own economy. I've proven that. Many people have proven that over the last 20 years. We've had Republicans, we've had Democrats, we've had it all over these last few decades. And with each new government that comes in every 4 years, my family has increased in net value in net worth. So it's not true. Too many times people are using this excuse, "I don't have time. I was too busy," to try to alleviate or make themselves feel better for why things aren't getting done. And here's what I simply want you guys to do. as I've told you guys, like in our household with our kids, we told our kids a long time ago to stop saying the word I can't. Remove the word I can't from your vocabulary and replace it with show me how. That's powerful. Okay. But that's not what today's topic is. Today's topic is about time. So the next time someone asks you, like, why isn't something done? Like, if you're the person that was supposed to get something done, you were supposed to get a report done, you were supposed to get to a meeting, whatever it is, instead of saying, yeah, I just haven't had time, don't say that. Say, I made other things a priority. And that's going to sting. It's going to sting really bad because it's the truth. If you were supposed to be at a meeting and you didn't go, the real reason you weren't at that meeting is you made other things a priority. You know, maybe the night before you stayed up late, maybe you watched movies late and you slept in, and that's why you were late. Not because you were too busy, it's because of your decision the night before. Today, right now, is an example of this. I normally record these 2 or 3 days in the past. It's now Saturday morning. So, what did I do to make sure this podcast flows perfectly on schedule on Monday mornings as we release them? I made this podcast a priority over what I would typically be doing before 8 a.m. on a Saturday. I made it a priority. I could have just said, oh, I was too busy this week, because I have been extremely busy this week. But then what would have happened to the podcast? It would have not been released at its normal time. And this one's going to sting you guys, because the person you are telling it to, sometimes you really don't want to say those words, but it's the truth. And the sooner you guys get to realizing the truth and living in reality, like, the most precious thing we have is time. You cannot buy it. So this topic is a really, really important topic, guys. Really important. And it's a matter of just making things a priority that you need to get done. So I'm going to give you a couple tips here. I'm going to give you 3 things in an analogy, okay? So that you can start getting more things done and stop saying I was too busy or I don't have time. There is no human on earth that has 23 hours a day, and there's no human that has 25. We all have the exact same amount of time. So to say I don't have time is why you can't get things done is a lie, because other people are getting things done with the same amount of time. Stop saying that to yourself and just say, I made other things a priority. Some people make sleep a priority. And yes, I'm not saying that you go sleep deprived. Sleep is extremely important for your health. Health is everything. um, and so, but maybe you're spending hours on social media. Maybe you're spending hours on television. Uh, I don't know. I don't know where you're spending your time. But if you're not where you want to be, okay, whatever that looks like with your time or your money, okay, this is the freedom factory, right? And time and money are 2 elements to that freedom. If you're not where you want to be, you need to change the way you're spending your time and make some more important things the priorities. Okay. So, a couple of things here. Number one is, if you are just always busy and you're not getting things done, it's probably because you don't have a daily plan. You don't have organization. You don't know today, like I'm recording this on Saturday. I knew yesterday exactly what my plan was today. I knew what I had to do. I didn't wake up and then decide what I was doing today. Okay. So if you're always like not getting things done and just too busy to get it's it's probably number one because you just don't have a plan. And I don't suggest making the plan the night before each day. I suggest making the plan on the same day for the week. And then as the week changes, your schedule is going to flow a little bit. Then just make sure that if you do start to get behind, that you catch up as quickly as possible by making a daily plan. If you don't know what you're doing day after day after day before the day gets there, then you're going to find yourself making that excuse saying, I don't have time. I was too busy, which is a lie. It just means you didn't have a plan. Okay. Um, if you do have a plan and you're still not getting things done, it's because you're allowing yourself to be distracted. You're allowing certain things to get you off course. Someone comes in and runs and asks you a question. Listen, if you work from home, this might be with the best tip for the day. If you work from home and people, whether it's your kids or spouse or whatever, it's has the ability just to walk into your office at any time and ask you questions, I'm going to tell you right now that is a very inefficient way in allowing distractions to get you off course. If you were working in a regular office, that could not happen. Your kids just wouldn't walk in the office. The partner wouldn't just walk in the office. And when you do that, they ask you a question, whatever, and it gets you distracted and it takes you 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe an hour to get back on course. That's time you could have been using. So I'm going to tell you guys, if you work from home, you might want to have a conversation with the people that are in the home and let them know, like, okay, when actually I've got a sign that I used to put out for the kids, and I would hang it on the door, and they would know, like, don't. I would tell them, do not open this door unless there's blood or a fire. So they would know no distractions because I needed to like concentrate and get some things done. Right. So make sure that you're not allowing distractions, especially the cell phone. Especially the cell phone, guys. You may want to turn notifications off. You may want to flip the phone over. So if you're working on your phone, um, definitely turn the notifications off so that you can stay on task. I actually have, I work in an office that faces the water. And I have learned that if I really need to get some things done, I close the blinds because it does allow you some distractions. A window allows distractions, especially for me, as much as I love the water, seeing the water. Shutting the blinds allows me to focus and get some things done. The blinds are closed right now. So don't allow any distractions, and you're going to have to take some steps in order to make sure you're not being distracted. Third thing is if you have a plan and you're not being distracted and you still don't have time, it's just because you're using your time inefficiently. So, just to give you a couple examples, um, I try to get in some education every day through podcast and videos. And so what I do is I will multitask, right? When I'm driving, a lot of times I'm not listening to music. I'm listening to a podcast or an educational video about something I'm trying to learn. If at the gym, I will listen to music at some point in the gym, but then when it's a little less intense and I can let my mind wander, instead of letting my mind wander, I will then put the podcast in. I will put the video on and listen to the video. So that's an efficient use of my time. If I'm going to the gym and I needed to go to a certain store, I make sure that I either on the way to the gym or the way home, I go to that store instead of coming all the way home, maybe doing a few things and then going back. Right? Be efficient with your time. If you're in a family where there's people coming and going all the time, know where they're going. Maybe they can drop off something on their way somewhere, and maybe you can do the same thing for them. Because usually people that are in a household, um, usually there's a lot of inefficiency because people are just going in different directions, and we don't know where each person's going at any given time, and that can cause inefficiency. Whereas if we work together, then you become more efficient. And this thing with efficiency and the daily plan goes hand in hand. Um, I believe if you will work with a planner, like a physical, like digital or physical paper planner, you will become much more efficient with your time. And to kind of give you an analogy to wrap this thing up, maybe you've heard this before, maybe not, but you might want to do this visually. But if I have like a jar, okay, if I have a jar and there are two things that go in the jar, rocks and sand. Okay. Rocks and sand. If I put the rocks in first, then the sand, I can get everything in the jar. Okay. But if I dump it out and the second time I put the sand in and then I try and put the rocks on top of the sand, the rocks will not fit. Well, why is that? It's because the sand is taking up the room. If you put the rocks in first, the sand can work its way around. It can kind of filter itself down into all little cracks and crevices. If you do it the other way, there's all these pockets of air around the rocks, and that is the waste of time. Okay. So every day, put your rocks in first. Put the priorities in first. This podcast was a priority today. It has gotten high priority on my Saturday morning, right? Now, other things will kind of filter around that, right? So remember that analogy, guys. Put the rocks in first each day and then allow the other things. It's okay to be on social media. It's okay to, be distracted a little bit here and there by just things you've got to do around the house that maybe weren't exactly, but make sure the high priority things were done. And you're going to find yourself saying to other people less and less, I've been too busy. And listen, this one, if you guys will apply this thing, it's going to make a difference in your future. Every time someone says, like, did you get that done? Instead of saying, no, I've been too busy, tell them, look them right in the eye and say, no, I made other things a priority. Because that is telling yourself the truth. It's going to sting, it's going to hurt, but hopefully it's going to propel you to make some of these changes, to do some of the things I outlined for you today. And if you will do some of these things, you will become more effective with the 24 hours you've been given each day, which will push you a little bit closer to that freedom that you are wanting, that you're coming to this podcast to learn about and then effectively reach. Okay. This one's big. Time is big. You're not getting freedom unless you're using your time wisely, effectively. So just make that little switch, guys. Instead of saying I'm too busy, just say, nope, I made other things a priority, because that will hurt. The truth hurts, but I hope it springs you into action. So this one was a little bit quick, but important. And for those of you that watch this on video, you got me in my cap and my hoodie. It's all good. You guys have a good week. We'll come back next week, maybe with an interview. You guys have a great week. Talk to you later.